General Nerdery.
It's the movie that launched 1,000 lazy-ass Halloween costumes and apparently a wrestler that I'm told is kind of popular. This week, General Nerdery is going to discuss The Crow.
Dude, we're coming down from the fucking rafters for this one.
Welcome to General Nerdery. We're your generals of nerdery. I'm Zach.
I'm Tyler.
And this week we have a guest that I did not know was coming, but I'm pretty happy about it, with Danny here.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, Danny, this is your first time over on our show.
I know, right?
Rather than Zach being on our show.
Yeah, which is super confusing when you put it that way. Danny is co-host over on Fried Squirms, and me being on Fried Squirms is actually what led to General Nerdery here. Danny, hit us with your nerd credentials, as it were, other than I do a horror movie podcast.
Well, that part is absolutely true. Aside from that, nerdery-wise, I like pop culture stuff. I'm a product of the 80s/90s. So nostalgia reigns supreme. Everything from, 80s movies, coming-of-age movies, horror movies, things of that nature, to, video games. I like, video games a lot. I never really got big into comics. I was always around them, but just never really delved into them. I was more or less like one of those who would maybe pick up, a graphic novel here and there, just kind of scan. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. But just for whatever reasons, never really got into it. But I do appreciate it. I appreciate the art, the storytelling, everything that goes into it.
Oh, yeah.
Sick.
I'll say I ended up being the one to invite Danny on because the further it got into the week where we're doing The Crow, the more it's like, this isn't enough of a horror movie for us to do it on Fried Squirms.
No, this would be the lamest fucking thing to
but
do on
something
Squirms.
also doesn't feel right not having Danny on.
Nice.
No, and it's perfect.
Because it's just enough being horror adjacent, gothic adjacent, well, gothic, 90s goth to the fucking max.
Look, it pretty much inspired the emo scene of the early 2000s. Let's be
Wow.
honest here.
So, in came Danny. We'll get to all to talking about all the different aspects of The Crow. First, what have we all been ingesting media-wise?
I'm going to be saving mine for last because I'm excited to see your reaction for it. So,
Okay.
Danny, how about you?
Ingesting media-wise?
Yeah,
So,
any video games,
Gotcha.
movies, music, whatever.
okay. So let's go video game. First, I have been getting my feet back into playing The Witcher Part 3.
Yeah.
So I do enjoy that one. I'm real bad at playing RPGs up to a certain point because I get sidetracked on side missions.
You completely forget what
And
you're
then,
doing.
by the time I get back to the main storyline, I'm like, oh, what the fuck was I doing? So that's my MO in terms of RPGs and video game playing. So as far as that, like I said, Witcher 3, FIFA, some Gears of War,
Nice.
a little bit of Tony Hawk's 1 and 2. Yeah, man, that's been fun. Music-wise, just the latest, believe it or not, been getting into Sade.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I like Sade a lot, not gonna lie. So been listening to her and some Pink Floyd throughout the week.
Sweet.
And novel-wise, books, haven't really delved into anything. And show-wise, I've been watching Dark.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Keep hearing Dark's really good. I just haven't gotten into it yet. It
We-
gets complicated, right? Like, it's all convoluted.
It does, but then it explains itself, so that way you're like, oh, okay.
It's confusing, but
But it does have resolve.
yeah, as we've discussed on the show a lot, the list of, I've heard good things, I should check that out, especially when you're working a full-time job, is just...
It grows.
It's
every
insane.
day.
Yeah, we talk about that too on
Yeah.
Squirms.
So for me, I guess ingesting this week, or we're recording on a weird day as well. This happens.
That's my fault.
So the big thing would be finish The Boys season 2. Once again, especially with the things that they did in this season, I think it has been another Garth Ennis property that has been elevated by its adaptation.
I mean, I'm not hiding the fact that I'm not a Garth Ennis fan, but, his writing, it doesn't pop. He's described superheroes as, the questionable medium of superhero comics. I'm like, man, come on. You write mostly for Marvel and DC. So I think having people that take his idea but also have an appreciation for superheroes at the same time, I can see why that would maybe click a little easier. Mm-hmm. Like, people love The Boys. I'm not saying The Boys is the comic book itself is bad.
It's just the comic is over the top in all the ways that Garth Ennis tends to be, which sometimes can get really fucking sleazy and gross.
Yeah, it's where he loses me. He's like Warren Ellis without the... Oh, God, I was going to say without the charm. But we've learned too much about Warren Ellis to really finish that sentence as it is.
But he also tends to have a lot of really, really good ideas. Mm-hmm. I tend to describe him as like the biggest man-child in the business, where his man ideas are really grown up and really good, and his child ideas are extremely like 12, 13-year-old trying to be an edgelord type shit.
It reminds me a lot of Mark Miller, who
He's
I'm like, oh man, his
way.
ideas are fucking great. And then I read it and I'm like, this was...
So somebody taking those ideas and refining and kind of being updated to be really reflective of what's going on in society right now, that show is fucking incredible. And then don't want to say too much about it because I'm sure we're going to end up doing another episode on it before who knows how long, but the Star Trek Lower Decks finale
oh my god, it's so good!
It's so good, I've watched it 4 times.
3, but yeah.
Yeah. So that was a big chunk of, like I just said, I watched it 4 times. Like,
we're not gonna get into it, but it is legitimately great Star Trek. Like, not just this is funny, but like, it's one of the better episodes of Star Trek I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I have watched a lot of goddamn Star Trek just this week, even.
I think the episode right before it was really strong too.
Was it the movie?
Yeah, the movie.
That was... God, that had so many callbacks.
Yeah, that was pretty much it for me, though. I haven't been doing as much in the realm of video games this week, as much as just, like, sitting around and reading The Crow and re-listening to the soundtrack about 50 times.
I didn't get to that. That's the one I was forgetting. I've got a bunch of stuff, but most I'm going to save them for next week. The one that I thought I'd bring up is I have finally started Legends of Tomorrow.
No shit.
Which you have been bugging me to do since before this fucking podcast started.
So where are you up to? Oh my god.
Okay, so I took everyone's advice and I skipped season 1.
You can probably... Yeah. The only thing you're missing from season 1 is the fact that Captain Cold is amazing.
Yes. And that's a bummer. He left because he got the Prison Break job, yeah? Or...
I think it was more than that, because him and Mick are part of Prison Break.
That's true.
They played brothers on that. But there was... He has his own stuff going on at times. I think there might have been some mental health issues and stuff, too. I'm not positive.
And he's appearing, because right now he's figments of Mick Rory's imagination. He's, I just got through the Christmas episode of season 2 where evil Rip Hunter, aka Rory from Doctor Who, has tried to assassinate Washington. And Cece, like, keeps... I'm not watching it with her because it's going to mean nothing to her. And it's not really... It's just not her bag as much.
Yeah.
But she'll catch bits of it and she keeps being like, what are you watching?
It's American Doctor Who if they were really bad at their job.
That's actually the best description I've ever heard, and so I'm going to sell it to her now. But it is... You're right. It is the most fun I've had watching a CW show, God, probably since Smallville.
Yeah.
And Smallville was not good. I was just, 16. So... It's really exciting to watch them enjoy it. It's really exciting to be like, oh, this is why people like it. And in this era where I'm getting mentally overwhelmed about every 45 seconds these days, sitting down and just like, okay, let's watch them save the world by convincing George Lucas he has to direct movies. And every time people told me about that episode, I rolled my eyes and I watched it and I was like, God damn it. Like... How dare you be this good?
Right. Oh, it only gets better too.
It does really drive home how much I enjoy Brandon Routh. Not even necessarily as an actor. Like, he's an okay actor, but just as Brandon Routh being charming is great.
And White Canary's the best character in the entire Arrowverse.
Oh, easy. Easy. I enjoyed Citizen Steel, or Steel, whatever, more than I expected to. Because Steel is a character where I was always like, oh, your costume is kind of fun in a retro way, but there is just fucking nothing to you as a character in the comics.
Yeah. three seasons past where you are, he's starting to get old to me.
I can see how that would happen.
But he's still fine. I like him. And especially those early parts. I fucking love it. I'm so excited. I can't wait for you to
I
get
know.
to some
That's.
other
I have
shit.
specifically not told you this for a week. Like, I was texting you, and I was like, no, erase it. Maybe we'll do an episode when I finish the first season. Finish the second season. Whatever.
The first season you're watching.
The first season that matters.
Yeah. Because they do a really fun callback to the first season in this latest season. But yeah, I think you'll be able to catch it anyway.
It'll be fine.
So, we do have a little bit of news.
Perfect.
We started off before we started recording by watching a couple trailers. The first one, how about we talk about The Watch?
Sure. So, we've been talking about this forever. Just because, I mean, we've covered 3 of the books now. Terry Pratchett's my favorite author. You're a Pratchett fan, too. Mm-hmm. Danny, you've never seen, read, watched anything?
No.
Did that trailer make any sense to you?
I had no context or clue or anything.
How does it, so how does it look to you without any context?
Very British.
The best description of all of Terry Pratchett's work.
Pretty much.
But I see the humor, like the angle they're going for with some of the characters, and I have a feeling if I watched it, I'd probably enjoy it because I do like a bit of British cinema, British television, just British humor, things of that, football, things like that. So yeah, I think it looks intriguing.
Yeah,
but I really don't know what it's about.
I do know Pratchett's daughter is fucking livid about it.
Right. Which I can understand it feeling divisive.
And Neil Gaiman didn't sound very happy about it either. In her words, there is 0 DNA shared between her father's books and this. I don't know if I agree with her, but I know
I don't agree with her because everything in that trailer seemed just insanely familiar from what we've been reading this past half year. Couple times we've touched on Terry Pratchett.
There's a description that Pratchett has, and I don't know if it's come up in any of the books that you've read of his yet, because I don't think you've met any of the history monks yet.
Not yet.
Where he talk about the trouser legs of time.
Okay.
And the idea it's his way of dealing with like the time stream or whatever. Instead of branching off into another branch, it is a different leg of the trouser legs of time. Mm-hmm. And that's what this feels like to me. Like, this is not Terry Pratchett's Novels Watch.
No.
But there is enough connectors to it that I still feel it, and I feel like I am going to... Even if this isn't a good Watch adaptation, I feel like I'm going to have fun watching this as, like, fun punk sci-fi. It made me want more punk sci-fi, like, not sci-fi fantasy. Like, why do we not have that more often? That's such a good combo.
I'm still not sold on Richard Dorner as Vimes. I thought he looked better in still pictures than now that I've seen him in action a little bit, but...
It's very much not how I imagine Vimes. It could be, like, younger, drunker Vimes. Like, more guards... I mean, we know it's more guards than it is... Europe through what? Men-at-Arms?
Yeah, wherever. It's easily more guards.
No, whatever.
It's easily more guards. Even I'll say that, even from... the last one.
Where he still has a bit of that sway. He is, in the books, much, even when drunk, much more like professional standing straight attention as opposed to, he has that kind of like, almost Captain Jack Sparrow like move to it. And I think it's also the eyeshadow, or the eye makeup they gave him, which Vimes would not have done that, but weird kind of punk rocky Vimes they're going for? Sure.
Yeah.
I love their Lady Sybil.
Oh.
She's not the giant Valkyrie that, like, we were promised in the books, and I would have loved that, but she looks badass. They still did the wig thing. They have her, like, firing dragons. It's weird vigilante Lady Sybil, but awesome black lady vigilante who uses dragons to fight crime sounds fucking amazing.
Yeah.
So I will roll with it.
They did release a couple other clips. Maybe we should have watched them. I kind of dig Death. They show Death in
Ooh,
one of
I
the
haven't
clips.
seen any of those yet, so I'll watch them before next week and we can talk about it then.
That was one thing I was worried about, and they do have Vimes meeting Death in one of the little, 45-second clips.
It happens a couple of times in the later books where, to the point that Death starts calling them near Vimes experiences. So if they can get that, Death, if you want to land Discworld, you have to have Death land properly. I mean, he's the character that appears in every single novel, which is weird to say, but I'm listening to Hogfather as I fall asleep right now, which is about Death and his granddaughter saving Christmas. So, Hog's Watch, but
As you do when you're
it's
Death.
so good.
What else? Did we want to talk about the Monster Hunter trailer?
With the understanding that we have almost no Monster Hunter experience between, unless you've played some.
No, I've watched, but never really played.
I played a little bit of Try. I've put 2 really, really heavy weekends into World and a little bit of time beyond that. That's about it, though, for me.
My buddy Roar, who was on our Zelda episode, is a big Monster Hunter fan, and he has shown me some YouTube videos that are kind of making fun of Monster Hunter and how kind of fucked up the entire concept of that game is. If I'm going to wander around, find rare animals, and fucking murder them to look cool.
Yeah, that's it.
But that's it. I've never played it. I don't think there's one for the Switch. Part of the reason why I'm like, fuck, I should really just give in and buy a PS5 is because all the games everyone talks about are on everything else. I'm already not beating the games that I have.
Watching it did make me kind of want to play the game again some more. Even though it doesn't look anything like the games, because it's about a fucking group of soldiers from our world just suddenly landing in the Monster Hunter world. And nothing about it looks like Monster Hunter except for the monsters and Tony Jaa.
Tony Jaa looked fucking sick. Easily the best part of what we had seen. As I mentioned when you were watching it, the transported from our world to a different world has become one of my least favorite fantasy tropes. Because it's everywhere. Like, I really liked it when it was Forbidden Kingdom, that movie with Jet Li and Jackie Chan. Mm-hmm. Although even then, I mostly just cared about Jet Li and Jackie Chan. Dot Hack Slash, or whatever it was called, that came out when I was in high school. It was an anime that had the same trope. Great. I've seen it enough times that it just doesn't grab me that much. I much prefer, let's just toss us in this immersive world and go with it. It is too often, I think, brought into from our world as kind of a lazy, here's how we can explain what the world is trope, because the person clearly doesn't know. I'd rather you just show me instead of someone sitting down and...
If you have the person from our world, you have to have all the characters constantly delivering exposition and explaining shit to them, rather than what's harder is just telling a story from one of their perspectives and making you understand it anyway.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's a trope. I'm reading a couple comics that do it, but it's... I don't know. It didn't feel that necessary, and the people I know who do like Monster Hunter were like, no, I don't fucking care about military Mila Jovovich. I want
and here's
Monster Hunter Mila Jovovich.
And she's been a badass action star for long enough that I can imagine Mila Jovovich already...
I have not pronounced that name right once.
Already being in the Monster Hunter world. She doesn't have to be a badass army soldier. I believe her as being a monster hunter.
Yeah, just start it, start the movie with, I don't know, a desert or something, and then coming in through the kind of hazy distance is Mila... Tell me that name again.
I believe it's Mila Jovovich.
Mila Jovovich and Tony Jaa, and it'd be like, what's the plot here? We're gonna hunt monsters. Done. I have everything I need to know. Let's do this.
The monsters look cool. I'm very actually much planning on watching that movie.
I will. Tony Jaa looked sweet. His bow drove me up a wall as someone who actually uses a bow occasionally, but
But it looked like a Monster Hunter bow.
It looked cool.
Because all the weapons look stupid and big in Monster Hunter.
It bothers me less with swords than it does with bows, I'm realizing.
Okay.
Because a big dumb sword becomes a club for the most part, or if nothing else, I've played enough Devil May Cry when I was a kid that I don't care anymore. But a big bow like that, I'm like, that would be impossible to use. And he's like throwing his hand away while firing. And I'm like, oh my god, that arrow is going to go anywhere but what you're actually trying to hit at that point.
I just hope this is a movie that makes use of the fact that he is just an insane martial artist.
If you have Tony Jaa and you're not utilizing that, then you deserve for your movie to fail.
All right. Couple other small things that don't involve things that you have to go off and watch to know that what we're talking about. They announced the lineup for the Green Lantern TV series that's going to be on HBO Max.
Tell me again because I forgot, and also because we're doing a podcast where we tell people news things.
Well, okay. When we first brought this up, we're like, there's going to be... Who would you have guessed have been the lineup?
Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart.
How far down the list would you have put Guy Gardner?
4th? 5th, maybe?
Jessica Cruz?
She was in my number 3 spot, actually.
Simon Baz?
Low.
And Alan Scott.
Real low.
With so far apparently no plans to use Hal Jordan
or Kyle Rayner or Jon Stewart. That means they are saving those 3 for movies still, or at least Hal and John. The lineup actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it a lot, particularly with representation. I did notice that they said, like in the comics, Alan Scott will be gay. And I am pro gay Alan Scott, but that line always makes me laugh because he's been gay for 8 years and he's been around for almost a century. Like, it was the New 52 2012 reboot. I have the comic. It's Earth 2 by James Robinson and Nicola Scott. It's great. You should fucking read it. But that is a pretty new thing. So to be like, don't worry, he's gay. I'm like, sweet, but that's not as, like, loyal to the comics as you're, like, promising. It's just a good thing to do. I have no problem with gay Alan Scott.
I run into the same thing with Constantine. I have no problem with bi Constantine. Absolutely no problem. But it was like a third of the way into his original run before it was ever mentioned he had a boyfriend. Mm-hmm. It was 2/3 of the way into his original run that it was ever shown him making any romantic contact with a man. And at that point, it was still not clear that he wasn't doing that as part of a con.
It was a little ambiguous. Yeah. It's in a similar way when people are like, oh, they're going to treat Hawkeye as deaf. Most of the writers can't decide if Hawkeye is deaf or not. Like, he's gone deaf like 6 times now. Well, twice, but still.
Yeah. I have no problem with it, but when
3
people
times.
reference it like it's always been the
thing. It is the fact. I'm like, it's not. But it's
newer,
cool that we're doing it,
cool.
and I'm glad that we're doing it.
Yeah.
Yes. That's just the fucking comic elitist in me. I also really like Alan Scott, so I'm into it. Although he's never been a member of the Corps, so I'll be curious to see what they plan to do on that front.
I did want to bring this up. I did hear what I thought was a really good heavy criticism of this lineup. And it's the not including Jon Stewart when there's at least one generation, maybe 2 generations of kids that grew up with Jon Stewart being their Green Lantern, and they're the ones that not only would have, like, are already going out and purchasing all these things, but are also starting to have kids of their own.
There's a generation of people that don't know there are other Green Lanterns.
Yeah.
Because of Justice League, which is cool. I really like Jon Stewart. I liked Jon Stewart better before Justice League because he used to be like an architect and like a kind of counterculture Black Lives Matter protester, basically. And they turned him into a fucking Marine. And there is nothing wrong with being a Marine, but they went from like he drove Hal nuts because he fought the man to the man. Let me have a Green Lantern that's gonna like call out racism directly as opposed to kind of the good soldier they turned him into.
It's going to be pretty, though, because it's an HBO Max show, so they're going to be spending all the money on it.
My only concern is as much as I like Guy Gardner, it's going to be really hard to get that line right to make him likable in a TV show.
I was about to say, guess who doesn't like Guy Gardner?
You?
This guy.
Oh, he's a giant asshole. The reason I like him is because of 1 or 2 things where he's, you know, an asshole with a good heart. Really, it's Justice League International is why I like him. But he sucks. And I think if I had been introduced to him in the modern era, I would have a lot less patience for him than I did when I was 14.
Yeah. So there's that. We have casting for our Fury Road prequel. Good old Mad Max Fury Road.
I heard that was going to happen.
The Witch's Anya Taylor-Joy will be a young Furiosa. And then we have Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who was Black Manta.
Thank you.
And he was also in HBO's The Watchmen. I think he just nabbed himself an Emmy for The Watchmen.
Good for him.
And Jan Silent Bob reboots Chris Hemsworth.
I knew you were going to fucking go with that. I knew that's your go-to for him anymore. Please do not stick your dick in the hologram.
Do not hump the hologram.
Is it still... God, I'm blanking his name. Director guy.
George Miller.
Cool. I forgot this was happening. So clearly I am not super devoted to it. I'll watch it. I really liked Fury Road. I liked it better than all the other Mad Max movies combined, to be honest with you.
I consider Fury Road to be maybe the closest thing I've ever seen to a perfect movie. It's like a toss-up between that and Princess Bride.
It's everything it wanted to be. I'm a little scared of them adding more to it, especially because he did a prequel comic about Furiosa, and it was not nearly as empowering as Furiosa herself was.
I'm excited to see Anya Taylor-Joy as Furiosa. We're definitely, I mean, there's not something showing her up in this room, but her big breakout role was the Witch, which is basically...
Which is represented in the room of posters here.
I got my other Black Phillip over there, too, so that's going to be cool. Yaya's been killing it. And then, of course, fucking Thor's going to be in it, so I'm curious to see him all just fucking dirty and post-apocalyptic out.
I'll be excited because it looks like it's a different kind of movie than we've seen Chris Hemsworth do much of lately. He won't be able to just be like affably charming and good looking in a Fury Road movie in the way that he is able to be in most things that he does. He's great at it. I just would love to see more range. He did some movie where he was a cult leader. It was about a hotel. Jeff Bridges was in it.
Oh shit. Okay, yeah.
I always meant to see it because it was one of those
that, like, yet either, but
let's really like force him to not just be charming and affable Thor.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm going to watch any and all Mad Max. So,
look, if I watch Thunderdome twice on purpose, then yeah, I'll watch this.
Hey, fucking love Thunderdome.
So do I. That's the problem.
And then I pulled one other piece of news directly knowing that Danny was going to be here. Because, Zach, no offense, but I have a feeling you're not going to have anything to say.
It's going to be nothing to me. I can already guess.
We're getting a Dexter Season 8.
I heard some rumblings about that. Yeah.
Michael C. Hall's back.
That's awesome.
I know that you actually watched the entire series.
I not only did I watch the entire series, I read the entire series as well. So I'm familiar with both sides.
Is it based off books?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, I'm learning everything new.
I only read the first one myself. I actually have it right over there.
Yeah.
And then I only watched through Trinity.
Okay. Well, I would not have been upset if that would have been
the end.
But granted,
Trinity is just good TV.
It really is. That's arguably one of the best seasons, not just in that series, but possibly like on TV during that time period.
Yeah. Fucking Lithgow kills it.
So good, man.
I know the ending got panned.
Yeah,
hard.
I hate to say it like this, but sometimes, not always, but sometimes with Showtime, depending on writers and what have you, it can take a real bad turn. I've seen it happen with Penny Dreadful and unfortunately with Dexter, and it's like, those are two shows I really liked, and they tanked.
So
it can be hard to end something that goes as crazy as those. I mean, I've only seen like one episode of Dexter, and I vaguely know what Penny Dreadful is, but I know they're both fucking nuts enough that like sticking the landing's tough.
Actually, after we covered Pulps last week, I think you'd actually probably dig Penny Dreadful.
I've been meaning to. It's just Welcome to the list again.
The show actually has the correct pacing to be based off of Penny Dreadfuls.
Oh,
It's amazing.
It
perfect.
is the first 2 seasons, especially the first season, is tremendous.
Weird things happening every 10 minutes because that's 10 pages and that's when the story would end, when it was being broke up. It's awesome. So knowing the books and knowing the show and how they differed, do you have any idea of where they could go with
Well, I can say this.
season 8?
If they're basing it off of the show, it would make a lot more sense. And if they decide to do that, I think it was ambiguous enough as well to it could have spun off from there, you know, whether it was continuing Dexter's story, his son's story, etc. Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see, you know, if they're picking up right after the facts or years after the facts. So
Taking into account the actual time that's passed.
Right.
I was gonna say there's got to be some kind of time. And that ended what, like 8 years ago?
Ooh, yeah, something like that.
Sounds right. I'm not going to lie.
I don't know why I'm commenting on
Yeah, I
this.
want to
This
say when
means
I
nothing
moved
to
up
me.
here, to 2013. Yeah, it was like 2013, 14, something like that when it ended.
Good.
Nice. That was really, yeah. That was good. So that's just not something I thought I'd hear. It's kind of perfect for this time of year.
Yeah.
Go check out Dexter seasons 1 through 3. Can't say much about the rest.
Was there really only 3 seasons?
No, there's 8 seasons.
There's
Okay.
8 seasons, but 1 through
Up to
3
season
are...
4.
Oh, 4 is
yeah.
Trinity. That's right.
Oh, okay. I understand.
After that, it's
After
up
that,
to you.
it's okay. I mean,
up to you.
season 5 and 6 are enjoyable, but they're you know.
That's it for the news.
Cool. Let's take a quick break, and then when we come back in, we will talk about the edgiest of the edge.
The Edge was a different wrestler.
I'll take your word for it. I'm gonna get this out there just immediately. I think that the entire concept of The Crow is a really fascinating, like, personal exploration by the artist. I think the art itself is sort of dog shit. Like, that's too mean. I think the idea of The Crow is great. I think the story behind it is great. I don't think the movie or the comic are very good in retrospect.
The comic's weird because it's basically just a long tone poem
Yeah.
that's super emo,
Oh, it's so emo. I mean, 1982.
but also just ridiculously ultra violent. The movie I think is in a lot of ways kind of better because at least it's a story.
And it might be because I had heard what a legend The Crow was my entire life and then didn't read any of it till I was 32 because it's the first time it just, like, became available for me for whatever reason. I think if I had been 16 years old, I would have eaten this shit up. And I know I did as the movie as, like, 1920,
Right.
you know, when it was kind of having its zeitgeist.
I guess that's a good place to start. What's all of our history, and I'll admit this is another reason I wanted Danny for you to come on because you are a couple years older than us and might remember a little bit of that movie dropping better.
Yeah, so this movie, it came out in 94, I believe. Mm-hmm. And to be honest and frank, I was thinking 94. I think I was in 6th grade, going into 7th. So for me, it didn't really land on my radar because I wasn't really into, you know, gothic things per se.
Probably a little older than, like, targeted a little older than you would have had access to.
Yeah, and I was just kind of into different things during that time period as well. You know, it's just playing sports and watching horror films, basically.
Not much has changed.
Yeah, I was like, you're right. So that was kind of my bag. And it didn't really register until, I want to say, like 96, 7, 8, somewhere around there, because that became more trendy with the music as well.
Right.
So there was a little bit of that. And you've already mentioned, too, the wrestler Sting took on that persona, so it became even more available because I grew up in the Southeast specifically, and that's like the mecca for wrestling fans. So it was big, you know, the Wolfpack and all that shit for NWO and WCW. Yeah, so that's
Sting
when it
is
registered a
late
little bit
90s?
more.
Well, Sting's been around for a bit,
Oh,
but
for a
beforehand
while.
he was like really
Blonde
colorful.
hair, California boy,
Yeah, he used to like
bright
just
colors.
blonde hair. It was
that- he had a-
pink mask, right, with like a
Yeah.
green edging kind of on it.
Yep.
Like,
Okay, so he shifted because I remember my dad hated wrestling, so I never watched any of it until I was older, and I still think it's kind of dumb. So, yeah,
You're not
it's-
offending me. It
it's,
is. I stopped watching when I was a teenager because I realized
but
that.
I remember the Attitude Era was so popular with a lot of people I knew in school that I picked up some of it. So I did not know his name was Sting, but I remember seeing that, like, you know, the action figures were next to the Star Wars toys, and like that person was around even if I didn't know who it was.
and there was almost like the 1-2 punch too, because there was Sting taking on like the kind of Crow persona, and then you also had Raven,
yeah.
who was just like
Another
a
wrestler.
grunge rocker.
Yeah.
But the sort of rocker part also fed into like the Crow movie where they change Eric to being a rocker rather than a mechanic like in the comic.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'll be honest with you, I did not get very far into the comic book.
So where did you get to? I'm curious.
Like 5 pages? It's been a hell of a week, guys. I'll be real straight with you.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. This is a weird one for me because it kind of goes in a lot of weird ways. The Crow movie coming out is what spurred some of my early interest in martial arts films. Not because of the movie, but because of Brandon Lee's death caused a lot of talk about how both he died too young and his father died too young
Yeah, they made
in a lot of
curves and-
different made-for-TV specials. And so then I started catching a lot of Bruce Lee marathons.
Ah, okay. That's fucking roundabout, but yeah.
Later on, 1998, you have... Oh, I think it's 97-ish that Sting does The Crow.
Yeah, I would say it's probably around that time period, yeah.
And I was huge in the Attitude Era. Loved wrestling on both sides. Sting is fucking amazing. Especially once he got to that part and wasn't, like I said, the blonde and pink. But in 1998, Crow Stairway to Heaven came on TV starring Mark Dacascos. And I fucking loved that TV
Was that the
show.
Oh, okay, it was the TV. I have not seen the TV show. I've seen most of the movies, sadly.
So from there on out, like, I was always... Let's see, I would have been 11 at that point when the show came out. And just loved it. Watched all... I think there was only 22 episodes of it. As soon as it came on TV, I think it aired Friday nights. And it was what I would do after dinner. Even as an 11-year-old. Like, I gotta go get my stories in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had shows like that.
I think we all did.
But that just primed me. Like, I wasn't then super into The Crow. It's just that's how I knew who it was.
That's pretty cool.
And then later on, probably around 18 or 19, when I first go to college, I recatch it. Oh, it would have been... actually, I take that back. I almost know exactly. It would have been... I rewatched it sometime in the summer before I went to college. And something about it at that point just super resonated with me.
I think this movie is made for college-age people. Not as a bad thing. I also had that same resonation then.
And it was from that point on that every year, whenever I get it, there's a lot of times just because fucking having to actually have a job that I don't get to do shit on Halloween. But whenever I get to have the chance to do the movie marathon that I like, The Crow always leads it off. And following with that, I've probably watched this movie at least once a year since I was 19. And I probably would have been about 20 when I picked up the comic for the first time. I have both...
Well, they're at my house right now, but yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, well, because I also have another printing.
Of course you fucking do.
I have one of the earlier printings, and then when they put out the special edition, which is what I threw your way, which has a little bit of differences, like a much happier ending.
I'm going to read it. I just...
But there's other parts that are also kind of more emotional. I wasn't going to makes it sadder. Anyway, not more fucked up, but more makes it sad. Extended scenes with him being all lovey with his fiance.
Yeah. Let's see.
But it was also around that same time with the movie, and however, for whatever reason, because there's not a real good reason why it like hit me the way it did. Like I was already kind of over that super 90s goth aesthetic, and like I've never liked his hair. But hair's big for me, especially at that time when people were still calling me poof all the time because of my hair. And I'm not skinny enough to really pull off that outfit.
As someone who had long straight hair, I was actually kind of a fan, but I get it.
But from that point on, the thing I always took with me and what has always kept Crow near and dear to my heart is just the simply that it can't rain all the time.
That's good.
I mean, even within the past month, I've, like, at work on a hard day, I've said that out loud to myself, just sort of keep going through it. That's always just been my fallback. That one phrase hit me harder than almost any other line I've ever ran into in a movie, and it's been something I've always been able to fall back on.
Let's see, where did I think my first awareness of The Crow was, of all things, my mom had the Crow City of Angels soundtrack. And so I, in the phase where I was stealing my mother's CDs, which...
One does.
let's date myself there with that reference of everything we all did.
Oh, the amount of Patsy Cline I know from doing that.
Taj Mahal and Crow City of Angels between the two parents, which is fucking great. And then I ended up watching the movie, the City of Angels one first, I think, because I was really excited because, I'd been listening to the soundtrack, which I remember being killer, but I haven't listened to it in at least a decade, so it might be garbage. I legitimately have no idea.
The City of Angels soundtrack isn't bad.
I remember it being good, but
I think it has an Iggy Pop song on there. What I remember for sure it has on there is the White Zombie, I'm Your Boogeyman.
Nice.
That would have been right around the age that I had a definite, Rob Zombie set.
I rewatched that video actually earlier today.
And
I'm like, do you really have to put your wife in everything? Anyway.
Yes.
And then I don't remember how I first started watching this movie. I just suddenly knew when I was 19, 20 years old, so somewhere around 2008 to 2010 range, my early 20s, it hit. There was some zeitgeist that everyone that grew up that was a little young for it when it came out suddenly figured out that The Crow existed, and we all got really into it. I mean, when I say it launched 1,000 lazy Halloween costumes, I am not kidding at all.
No, that's true.
College kids, and I don't know if it's still true because I'm way past college, but college kids loved portraying The Crow.
It's a pretty easy
outfit. It's a real easy outfit. Especially if they still had long hair. Suddenly it was just determined, black pants because no one was brave enough to do actual black leather pants.
The trick was to notice if they got the detail of the tape in the right spots after he gets slashed up.
No one did. No one ever did. So I guess the best place to start on this one is just a little bit of the history of the making of the Crow comic. Because, one, it's real fucking interesting, and it defines this story to me in a lot of ways. It explains why it came in. The Crow was made by, what's his name? James O'Barr. And it was part of Caliber Comics Press, which was a small town, in the back of a comic book shop. They got a printing press and started making comics, which is amazing. And it came out in 1982, which is this was a very 1982 thing happening in comics. I think it was 1982. Test me before we go too far.
1989.
1989. Okay. You know what? I'm standing by my statement. This is still a very 80s...
Yeah, there's some interesting things about that.
He wrote it in 81, 82.
Oh, okay.
And it sat on his shelf for 7 years before he did that with Caliber. The incident that inspired it, James O'Barr, before he he wrote it while he was in the Marines and stationed over in Germany as a way of dealing with his grief, because right before he enlisted with the Marines, his fiancée was killed in a drunk driving accident.
On her way to pick him up too. Like, let's really drive home the PTSD trauma of him blaming himself on that.
On her way to pick him up because he had fucked up enough in his life that his license had been suspended. And for something stupid that he could have just waited to go walk and do the next day.
Yeah. And and that's not his fault.
No.
None of that story is his fault. But he blamed himself in a very human response. And in his words, this was his attempt to take that pain and guilt and anger and put it on the page in the idea of, then I'll get over it. Which is not how therapy works at all, ladies and gentlemen. But it is a way that interesting artists made a lot.
Yeah. And it's an understandable response, even if it's not necessarily what you're supposed to do.
No. And it can be a very good part of the process. And when I'm being really mean when I said it was dog shit, it's not. It is a guy that doesn't make comics making his first comic book to try and get these emotions out. And all of the good and bad that comes from that kind of work.
I would say the lasting part of it is the fact that I think he does a really good job of getting his emotions across.
Yes.
Parts of it are kind of gross because of the way he exaggerates what happens to the fiancé stand-in.
It's very raw. I'll just get this out of the way because we'll talk about the movie. Especially in 2020, rape as a plot point, I was just not down with. Like, I don't know why I'm like, oh, she got murdered, that's a bummer. And I'm like, oh, she got raped. Nope, we don't need to do that. But it made me wildly uncomfortable and it brought me out of the movie.
I have a longer history with the movie in a bigger way, I think.
Yeah. I was really into it when I was 19 and have barely watched it since I was like 25.
For me, it's just more like, okay, I understand it because of how you were feeling at the time and the needing to characterize your grief in a way that you could later kill.
It was also a very 90s thing to really bring in that kind of edge of drugs and violence and sexual assault. And let's talk about the things that we hadn't really been able to talk about before in shows, but in a much more direct way. But I don't like rape as a plot point. Like, if it's... You can make art about it, but if it just is to motivate the male hero, not on board.
Really, The Crow's just a story of revenge, because that happens. They get killed by this gang. In the comic, it's legit just random. They're high. In the movie, they change it so that there's somebody working behind the scenes, and they're trying to get rid of them for economic and
He
reasons.
is the least sensical villain I have seen in a movie in a really long time. He is just like and he's fun. That actor looked like he was having a great time.
Oh, yeah.
He kills it in every scene that he's in. But, okay, so he is a long-haired, well-dressed, almost like frilly Victorian gentleman-dressed gentleman who runs all of the crime, sleeps with his racially insensitive dragon lady stereotype sister.
Biling is something else. I fucking love Biling. Anyway.
Is that the actress?
Yeah.
Or she is weird. She believes that she was born on the moon.
Biling side note. Have you ever seen the Crank movies?
No.
She's in Crank 2. From what I understand
Is she... Jason Statham?
Yeah.
Okay.
From what I understand, if you've seen Crank 2, you know just how fucking batshit she is in that movie. Apparently, she refused to actually, do any of her lines from the script. I don't even think she looked at the fucking script. And the directors just went with it.
From everything I've read about her, that tracks. I did read one thing where she talked about having lost herself in the, personality she created and, drugs. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of sad, but most of the time I was reading about her, I fell down the rabbit hole of, who is this woman?
Yeah, she's insane, but she's always interesting to watch because of it. And I don't mean I mean just what she puts on screen is she refused to do the fucking script. Like, that's the point I'm getting at. Like,
well, and like they're doing magic together. They like screwed the lady dead and then stole her eyeball and burned it to learn the future.
You know what, let's put a pin in that real quick. I know you guys aren't as familiar with the comic. I'll bring up the big differences from the comic real quick, and then we'll focus in on the movie since we all watched that.
The Spirit Cowboy I know is I got a little bit to
Cowboy.
him. Yeah.
Who I wish they would have actually been able to get those scenes done because that was done with Michael Berryman. And
I heard about that.
Brilliant. The big difference is with the comic is hurting the Crow doesn't do shit to him in the comic.
Well, in all of the movies, like, if you hurt the Crow, it's done. Like, he is just a dude now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not a part of the comic. He's just a vengeful spirit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit more up in the air with the way it's presented, whether any of it's actually happening.
Gotcha.
It literally can be interpreted as just revenge fantasies, as he's either dying or like in an institution or recovering in his fucking hospital bed. And it also might just be that he did recover and is now out for revenge. It's never gone into as much, though he's
not pulling himself out
of
the dirt.
Obar's also, Obar's, I think, cleared it up in interviews that he intends more for like the supernatural. He came back, but he can understand why people would say it's not as clear from the way it's actually presented.
Well, and I do think later comics cover not him versions of the Crow, which
I've tried reading a couple of those, and I just couldn't get into them as much.
Even
though like my entryway was
non him.
Yeah, it was DeCoscos, which is I think technically Eric Draven, but it's been since 1999 since I've seen that show. So, fucking love DeCoscos though. The order he kills them in is different because one of the gangsters' name is Top Dollar,
which is the crime lord in this.
So you would think he would be the top, right?
Yeah, but he's not.
But in the comic, he's not. T-Bird's the top. And so they just made that make more sense in the movie. And the other thing is in the comic, a lot more ultra-violent. There's a lot more shootouts. And he kills the fuck out of people. And not a lot of mostly it's just like big splashes and it's all in black and white, so it's not even like it's just like, oh, somebody has something.
His bits are coming out,
yeah. His bits are coming out. But there are a couple things like with him just like completely flattening someone's head into like a brick wall and stuff, and with his bare hands just but he also engages in a lot more self-mutilation and just trying to numb the pain with drug use. Just trying, like, he's not even feeling anything, like, or, the way he describes it is his nerves are on fire.
Okay.
He's always in just constant pain. And after he kills Fun Boy, he takes, like, an entire syringe of morphine and just shoves it into his neck to try to see. A little
different than the magical get rid of drugs power that he randomly has in the middle of this movie that is never touched upon.
He does do the scene with the mother in the comic.
Oh, okay.
But the girl isn't as big of a part. It's just a girl in the neighborhood that he runs into a couple times. And he does, like, try to, like, brighten her day, but it's not like somebody hit him and Shelley knew.
I like the movie version a little better. I liked Sarah?
Yes.
Yes, Sarah. I liked Sarah quite a bit in this, even if it's the, like, 90s edge kid with the skateboard, the, like, 90s tough girl with a skateboard. I've always admittedly enjoyed that trope a little bit.
Officer Albrecht plays a much smaller part.
What is that actor's name?
Ernie Hudson.
Thank you so much. That was killing me. I kept being like, Carl Weathers. That's not fucking Carl Weathers.
He mostly just runs into him after he blows up Gideon's Pond. And then later on, when the Crow goes off to have his last shootout with T-Bird and all them, he leaves him the cat.
Ernie Hudson's going to prison for a long time at the end of that movie. Like, if we stop and think about because he's going to be like, oh, this dead guy came back and like I killed like all of those deaths are pretty much going to be put on him, and it kind of looks like he vigilante went and murdered like 16 people.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're all like drug lords and crime bosses and stuff, but still, it's not how the American justice system works.
It doesn't end with a sword fight on the top of a church.
Well, that's just disappointing.
Most of the gangsters die in different ways, actually. But they're not... I kind of prefer the movie versions for the most part. And for as graphic as it is, they don't actually show the way T-Bird gets it. That's just like almost the way the comic ends is Eric just walking up on him as he's wounded and like laying against a wall, and he has a hammer. And he goes, do you know how many angels can dance on the head of a pin? Depends on the tune. And then it just goes to black.
So, for the movie, since that's the one that we've actually all watched, one, Brandon Lee is very, like, charming in it a lot. Like, especially when we got to see little bits of him before he was the Crow, or the bits where he interacted with Sarah. I got why people liked him. And, you know, this is the movie Brandon Ruth died in. Brandon Lee, sorry. Talking about Brandon Ruth earlier. Brandon Lee died in. And I do get why this is so tragic from it. I do kind of think this is a bit of a Heath Ledger situation of the movie would not have been nearly as big if Brandon Lee hadn't died filming it. And also, CC pointed out to me, Heath Ledger's Joker draws a lot from Brandon Lee's The Crow. Like, whether actively or not, that a lot of that version of the Joker feels a lot kind of like this version of the Crow to me, of the...
I can see that.
Instead of like the full clown, the kind of rough face makeup and the straggly hair and the actor who got a little too into the role. Although it's not Lee's... I feel so bad for the fucking prop guy that accidentally got Brandon Lee killed here. A lot of these people have a lot to answer for, but the one dude who made the final mistake I feel for.
Well, I mean, the prop guy, of course, making the mistake, but poor fucking David Patrick Kelly actually being the one to pull the trigger on
Oh,
him.
yeah. I feel so bad for him, too. So, what happened here is they were trying to save money because this was a low-budget movie. I don't think it was originally even supposed to go to theaters.
From what I understand, I think it was at least being... Because Brandon had a little bit of a film career before this, and it wasn't supposed to do... It wasn't a huge hit. I think it still only made like $50 million against a 23 budget. But I think they were projecting it was going to do like 35 against a 23 budget.
So it was going to make some good money.
But it was going to be his next step. Like, people are liking this kid. He's Bruce Lee's kid. He is charming.
Let's give him a bigger lead.
And then see where he goes from there, especially because then this was also being put out by like Miramax rather than whatever he was working with before. And like this is, I mean, 94 Miramax.
Yeah, Miramax was at the top of its game at the time.
This is Clerks. This is fucking Tarantino's early stuff. This is probably still just a touch before Rodriguez, but...
And what happened is trying to keep the budget down instead of buying blank bullets, they tried to make their own, and through a series of unfortunate events, because like the proper gun handlers weren't there that day, which, why the fuck were you not there when they were, you know, doing gun stuff?
Yeah, it was...
Basically a fake bullet had... Or no, a real bullet was loaded into a charge or something like that, and he's supposed to like pull out the gun and shoot him, and he did, and he actually shot him.
Was the day before they had used a scene with dummy rounds because they look more realistic than blanks going into a gun. The problem was with the dummy, they had made the dummy rounds themselves, I believe, and instead of it working the way it's supposed to, when it went off, the bullet got stuck in the barrel.
Okay.
They were using proper blanks the next day.
And the proper blanks have the powder.
And blanks have double the powder of a normal round so that you still get the same muzzle flash.
And someone not understanding, like, part of the gun safety thing, because they were not doing a good job here.
Yeah, they didn't check the barrel to see that it was clear. So you still had that dummy round in there. You had the blank being set off. And then he was only like 12 to 15 foot away from them.
Yeah.
Poor James O'Barr poor Brandon Lee, but poor James O'Barr got fucked by this. Like, he's finally getting over some of his traumas. He's getting a movie made off of his tiny thing. And he befriends the, like, main guy. They were, like, buddies. And that guy dies in a thing that, again, is not in any way his fault, but is while doing a thing that that O'Barr is directly responsible for happening. Like, he's the reason it's happening, even if it's not his fault that person died fucking twice. This poor, fucked up kid.
Yeah, that fucked with him for a while. He hated the movie for a while. He's good with it now, partially just because him and Brandon's fiance ended up becoming really close and dealing with their grief together. And
which is great. It sounds like he finally started processing some stuff when those two started, like, being trauma buddies.
But it sucks that it had to happen in the biggest, baddest way.
So, from what I read, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe it was the actor Michael Massey who played Fun Boy was the one who...
was it? Okay.
Yeah, because there was a scene where he's, shooting him while he's all drugged out. But
okay, so Fun Boy's the heroin one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure... I think I was remembering David Patrick Kelly, because I think just being in the scene fucked him up. I don't think he did a couple... I don't think he
played
films
T-Bird,
for a while.
yeah. But yeah.
I would be, like...
that would definitely fuck
David
you up.
Patrick Kelly probably being most famous for the Warriors.
He was also in Twin Peaks as well. Have to note that, but yeah.
But he's
the Warriors.
Come out to play. Come out and play.
So this dude has a very specific role when making movies.
Well, that was also a part of the appeal with Brandon Lee, because he was a fan of the Warriors, and getting to act with David Patrick Kelly is pretty awesome. So they shared a bond with that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, this entire...
So it's just tragedy upon tragedy.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, while we're pointing out people in the movie, though, fucking Tony Todd.
Oh, dude, he was awesome.
I will always think of him as Worf's brother from Next Gen. Like, I know everyone else is like, he's the Candyman or whatever it is, and I'm like,
yeah, he is.
I'm like, it's Kern. Like, he pops up. I think I watched the Candyman actually once, which is unusual for me.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Gothic, yeah.
And I was like, what's Kern doing here? And I was like, no, fuck you. Like, nope. He's a Klingon.
You might actually dig Candyman. It's actually about gentrification in Chicago.
Yeah, it's really good, dude.
Sure enough.
When it comes
really
down
good.
to it.
I liked him a lot as, like, the number 2 guy with the weird glasses, and that he played creepy.
That's another character that's not in the comic, because it's not this organization.
Yeah.
It's fucking whatever it is, 4 or 5 random fucking methed out assholes just on the road.
And I get why they added this in, but they didn't bother to spend much time making the Crow care about those guys. Like, the Crow murders the people that directly assaulted his fiance? And then is like, well, time to go be dead again, even though the person who, like, directly set up her death was still hanging out. And so Cece and I actually got into this long conversation of, like, it's not ever well defined. What is the rules of being the Crow? We know he has some powers. We know, at least in the movie versions, if the Crow gets hurt, he gets fucked up. But, like, is it, go get your vengeance? Is it your another chance at life? Is it the one I thought interesting? Like, are the rules really limited? Like, you can only go after the people that are directly responsible, not, like, the larger transcend forces causes.
It's interesting you bring this up, because there's actually a deleted scene from the first movie that explains it a little bit better. The only reason people think it's that hurting the Crow makes him vulnerable is because the scene that showed why he was really vulnerable got deleted. The rules of the Crow in the movie, at least, because it's really, really, really undefined in the comic, is he's brought back for vengeance upon the people directly responsible.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense with...
So he had killed everyone that was involved in Shelley's actual murder.
And that's why his powers disappeared. Okay. That would have explained so many things if they had taken the time. Because it later becomes, I believe in the later movies, an actual plot point that if you kill the crow, you...
He's at least weakened for a bit. I think the crow still comes back. Like, the crow's technically immortal in those later movies, but those movies suck anyway. Like, they got to the point where they had
0% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's the one with Eddie Furlong, right?
I don't know, but I didn't know that was possible. It's the one with the lady from Van Wilder in it.
Oh, yeah. So that's...
Thank you, Tara Reid.
That's...
who's not a great actress, but I enjoy watching
one of them.
Yeah, that is...
Kristen Stewart? Not Kristen Stewart. Mary Jane Watson. From the Sam Raimi films.
Oh.
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst.
She's in one with Eric Mabius.
Yeah, that was the third one.
I watched that one. It's all right, decent.
The Tara Reid, David Boreanaz one is The Crow Wicked Prayer, which has Eddie Furlong as the Crow.
And
like fat
preachers?
Eddie Furlong as the Crow.
Yeah. Gosh. When you look at some of the cast in some of those films, you're like, what happened?
Yeah. Why did you do this thing?
Yeah, so Mia Kirshner's in one of them.
Oh yeah, the second one I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Is she play older Sarah in that one, or am I thinking of someone else?
Maybe.
I can't remember. She's like one of the main. I don't know.
One of the other neat things with the casting, though, of the Crow is that in the comic, the character of Gideon was purposely based on character actor John Polito, who then they got to play Gideon in the movie.
Oh, so it's a Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson situation.
Yeah. So that's actually almost exactly what he looks like in the comic.
Perfect. He was very good as that, as like the piece of shit
pawn shop.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did anything really stand out to you guys? I guess like we're jumping around this in a big.
No, I think the things that brought back maybe that time period and maybe some of the reasons
feeling so well.
Yeah, so maybe some of the reasons why it's for some people it's stuck. You know, I was thinking, oh yeah, there's a couple of bands that definitely defined a certain sound, like with the gothic sound, maybe a little bit of the emo sound. You get the Cure's Burn, which at that time they didn't play a lot live. I mean, they do now, but not
wrote
then.
the song for the movie.
Yep.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
9 Inch Nails does a cover of Joy Division's Dead Souls. So
Joy Division plays a huge part in the comics. There's like chapter breaks that are just like Eric just like
fucking rocking out to Joy.
Not even rocking out.
Oh no,
like,
doing the sexy poses.
Yeah,
that
he does
so much in the comic.
He does a shit ton of sexy poses, and there's some spreads that are almost just like cheesecake calendars. And it'll just be like Joy Division lyrics underneath him.
You know, as someone who was reading some cheesecake manga like 2 days ago, it's obviously not targeted at me, but I appreciate that that exists, because
it's an interesting choice for a comic that is otherwise dealing with the author's grief to suddenly just have his main character in just all of the sexy poses all over the comic.
It's like the combination of his grief with everything that people thought was cool when you were like the goth counterculture kid in the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm.
This movie has a lot of really good ideas and stuff I wanted expanded more that it just didn't. And like if they had tried to expand on everything that I wanted more of, it would have been like a 10-hour movie. It almost, in some cases, felt like they were trying to make like a trilogy fit into a single movie, with just the amount of stuff that comes up, and they're like, "Oh, it's Saint's Night, Devil's Night,
Devil's
Night, yeah. And we're making all these fires, and then let's not
fire it up,
and then let's not do the fires. Let's do just one big fire, and then let's just abandon this plot line forever,
because Biling
is being Biling.
And Top Dollar are gonna go be weird.
Yeah.
I loved every scene they were in, but the moment I stopped to think about anything they were doing, I'm like, why? why is this movie also not just about Top Dollar? Like, I want to know so much more.
So, Top Dollar.
Uh-huh.
His sword of choice that's featured in the center of his collection and the one that he uses to push through the guy's throat is the six-fingered sword from Princess Bride.
Oh, nice.
That's great. That's a wonderful use of prop there.
Hell yeah.
Top Dollar almost looked like he would have fit into, like, Highlander. Like...
Oh, 100% he could have fit in Highlander. Oh my god, he could have been on the Highlander show in such a big bad way. He would have fit in perfectly.
Like, I get why they didn't exist, but a shared universe like what we have of Marvel now, of, like, Highlander and The Crow and a few other of that same kind of era of weird action movies that got in trouble for being too violent to some people, I would have murdered someone for this.
If I'm not mistaken, the director, is it Alex Proyas? He used to do a lot of music videos prior.
That tracks.
And what it reminded me too for that time period is how certain bands were featured in movies. And this was no stranger to that. And I think it carried on a little bit in this franchise as well. So I was like, yeah, that's another thing that you don't really see a whole heck of a lot of anymore, but that time period was kind of reminiscent of it. Right, because
Medicine and My Life with Thrill Kill Cult both show up in the movie.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that reminded me of like Idle Hands and a slew of films that did the same thing.
I'm pretty sure this movie was just the origin story for the band Evanescence.
I can see that. There's another song on that soundtrack, fucking dig, Rollins Band cover of Suicide's Ghost Rider.
Yeah, Suicide is actually, I think it's one of Bruce Springsteen's favorite bands. This is wild to think of.
Learn something new every day.
The song Ghost Rider is literally all about the Marvel hero Ghost Rider.
Well, know what I'm going to do when I get off recording this?
It's like, I think the lyrics start off as like, Ghost Rider, motorcycle, hero.
Okay, fair enough.
Awesome.
But fits because Ghost Rider is powered by the spirit of vengeance. The Crow is a spirit of vengeance.
I really love that Ghost Rider was originally supposed to be a Daredevil villain, and the editor was like, no, this character's way too cool to waste on fucking Daredevil, because this is before Frank Miller, too, so it's before Daredevil, like, mattered. Mm-hmm. He's like, you're not doing that. You're getting your own goddamn comic book about Skullhead Motorcycle Man. Like, that's all they knew at that point, too.
And the soundtrack has a Rage Against the Machine song.
Yeah, I saw that, too. That's pretty awesome.
In 1994, which is hilarious.
That's pretty early Rage, isn't it?
That's super early Rage, with Zach sounding like he's like 16.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
I think they came out in or their debut was like 92, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
So, yeah, it was still fresh.
Yeah.
Stone Temple Pilots, I believe, is on there, too, I think.
Big Empty.
Yeah.
I dig that song. I've karaoke'd it numerous times. They were going to contribute their song Only Dying, and then Brandon Lee happened.
Whoops. Nope. When we talked about the Transformers movie, we talked about how it's kind of a slice of time in, like, movie form, and this is very much the same thing. This is 1994.
Yeah.
In movie form. Like, and so as much as I immediately started with this movie is bad, this movie is very good on specific things it's trying to do.
And this movie was part of the wave that influenced pop culture in the way that resulted in the Matrix costuming looking the way it does.
Oh, yeah.
And the X-Men movies costuming looking the way they do.
I'm less happy about that one.
But you can see it 100%.
Uh-huh.
No, you're
Black
right.
leather is in now, kids. And the trench coat.
Mm-hmm. It did have this ripple in pop culture, yeah.
And it might not have been the only stone that was thrown
but
that
it definitely
caused that
helped.
ripple, but especially once Lee died,
yeah,
and its cult status kicked in a big way.
Yeah,
and
it was wild.
That soundtrack, like
Great.
I said, I've listened to it so many times this week. It's so good.
There was, I think maybe two other things that really stood out to me in this film. Was one of them was right after T-Bird's death, where you see the lighting of the crow.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that's kind of an iconic moment for that film too.
Was that a trailer moment?
It may have been.
That, admittedly, Cece cracked up when she saw that.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
like,
because
oh,
it's
yeah.
stupid as shit.
Oh, it is. But it became a thing for the next,
Exactly.
2 decades. I mean, I
talking
remember it
about
in the fucking Daredevil movie, him doing that.
The Thomas Jane Punisher?
Yeah. They make fun of it in fucking, in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Patton Oswalt's character's like, they're like, we think that's gas. And he's like, there's only one way to check. And he flicks the cigarette into it and it catches on fire. And Andy Samberg's character's like, there were a lot of other ways to check that. And that's, it's one thing, like, he does it himself there, I think. But it became the thing of, like, what is that? And the police officer, and they're like, that is terrible crime scene stuff. No wonder no one trusts you. Like,
Yeah, I thought that was like, okay, that brought back some memories. And possibly my favorite line in the film is from Top Dollar, where he and Eric, they run into each other, and he says, quick impression. Caw, bang, fuck, I'm dead. I love that. That killed me, man.
Top Dollar is so good.
He had some
I'm annoyed with it because
amazing moments in the film.
Yeah, he fucking kills every scene he's in.
I liked Skank a lot in the film too.
Oh,
He was
Which
a spaz.
one was Skank?
He was the one with T-Bird, all spazzing out.
Oh, the
Wanna
one
go
that
get
was
the
following in
snacks.
the tiny piece of shit car.
Yeah,
And
that
okay.
was pretty decent. I like that. That was
I really like T-Bird breaking down before his death.
yeah.
I thought fucking David Patrick Kelly
He's a
killed it.
really
during
good
that.
actor, man.
He's a really good actor, and I thought him just not being able to accept it and just
Yeah.
No, you're not gonna. No. And the like whiny voice that he picks up there, that is, I say whiny,
that.
but like a very believable, understandable whiny. I would whine in that situation.
I'd whine too. This isn't a good thing for me right now.
Bad things are happening now. Let's whine a little bit. What the fuck?
I was actually really impressed with the special effects on the knives all in the chest for the half a second you see it.
Even the 94 CG looked fairly decent compared
not
to
bad.
what we have done from that time period.
It's to this day without knowing already which scenes they are, it's hard to tell which ones weren't Brandon.
Right. There was a few.
I don't know which scenes were.
There was a few
Brandon.
that I had inklings possibly, and I think it was some interactions with Sarah. I think it was in some of the close-ups where they were hugging. You never get to see his face when she's hugging, and you see her profile, and vice versa. So that leads me to believe possibly there were some stand-ins for that moment.
A lot of him running on the roofs isn't him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a digital face replacement. And I believe him also playing guitar on the roof there's a reason why it's all shot from behind.
Makes sense.
Oh, yeah, okay. There wasn't much filming left, if I remember, when he died. There was only supposed to be like a week or two.
Yeah, if that, a couple days. But there was but it was stuff that they needed.
So they had to be like, oh
and-
shit, time to do some fixes.
And I think scenes that they had to completely just cut, and that's why they replaced it with like him rocking out on the roof, just kind of to fill time.
Which
Yeah,
again
some fillers.
is kind of dumb if you think about it, but I would have ate that shit up when I was 15 years old. I know I did, because everything that like stole those kinds of ideas I was eating up.
So I'm not positive about this because I didn't see his name in the credits when it was rolling this last time. But a few things I had read when I was trying to look up just a little bit of extra trivia that I maybe didn't know already from, years of ingesting this movie. I believe Brandon's stunt double that they used as the body double for those scenes was Chad Stahelski, who is one of the John Wick guys.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think that because both of those guys that direct and write those movies started off as stuntmen. And I think that was his big break into being a stuntman. He used to train with Brandon, and he was very physically similar. And so when that happened,
You're like, step
he's
in.
like, you already know the guy, like you know his mannerisms.
Yeah, exactly. Huh. It's pretty interesting. Music related, maybe, because this ties back into a little bit of the characters in the film, I should say. So I was listening to an interview directly with James O'Barr. I think it was from 2000.
Okay.
And he talked about the music that he was listening to, and he got into The Cure and Joy Division, which you had mentioned earlier. And he said what he did was, for the Eric Draven character, he based the face off of Peter Murphy from Bauhaus.
Yeah, I see that in a big
Right?
bad way.
And he said the mannerisms, his physicality was based on Iggy Pop. Right?
That 100% makes sense
See that?
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he said he's a product of the 70s as well. So he said Fun Boy is a cross between Iggy Pop and Jim Carroll. And Jim Carroll is the guy who wrote the Basketball Diaries. He was also a poet and a musician and stuff like. So he was kind of a punk icon in the 70s.
Okay.
It's like, oh, okay, I can totally see that. That makes sense. So I thought that was kind of interesting that, he incorporated some of the musical things that he was into, and that's why you see him dancing out to Joy Division.
His dancing
It was probably him in real life doing that. And
the way he
putting it
moves
on
in the
page.
comic, knowing it was based off Iggy Pop, makes 1,000,000% more sense now.
So I thought that was really cool. You talked about crossovers, and there was another video I'd watched that there were apparently in the comic book series somewhere down the line, there was a crossover with the X-Files, and it was specifically with the gunmen from the X-Files.
The lone gunman, fucking.
Yeah, I was like, I love those guys. They're so good.
He had a couple of crossovers at some point in the 90s, because the Crow really brought Caliber to a point where they could
Do things?
actually do stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not sure what exactly all the numbers are and how they stack up for what was going on in that time period, but for how small Caliber Press was, like that, the Crow is a gigantic runaway. We could never have believed this would ever happen.
Yeah, it sold a few
success.
100,000 copies, which is a successful comic book today. Yeah. So for literally, they bought a printing press and put it in the back room of the comic book store.
Do you guys know the story behind that, or do you know anything about the comic book store or franchise?
Not really. Literally just that it was a comic book store that decided they wanted to do their own small press.
So
the 80s was a huge point for...
He said that, James O'Barr that is, that on Fridays they would release new comics, so he would go into a specific comic book store in Detroit, because that's where he's from. And he said the guy that was running it knew that some of the kids that were coming in were kind of aspiring artists and comic bookers themselves. So he's like, let me see some of your work. And he liked some of what he saw, and he's like, I want to publish your work. And that's where he started the Caliber. I was like, that is pretty remarkable. He knew that it wasn't he knew that there was an influx of these new guys coming up that was really going to spark this new trend, as opposed to because he wasn't really making money off selling comic books, but he knew that he had some guys that were probably going to take off and
and
do
like
something.
the stuff's not there yet, but like the talent and the drive is, even if the skill level is not there yet.
Well, part of the reason the special edition of the comic exists is because of the limitations of that first printing press they had didn't allow him to print it all the way that he had wrote it.
They had to cut a bunch of
They had to
pages
cut
and stuff.
some shit.
I do have to really respect that when he made the special edition, he redrew a lot of those pages because they were lost, but he found like old shitty copies and stuff. So it's not, reinserting, and the art is obviously way better. It is dedicating yourself to where your art was 25 years ago. And as someone who doesn't like looking at stuff I made like 2 years ago, that is a dedication to the craft that I really respect.
I reread both the not special edition and the special edition getting ready for this. It's interesting to note how like those weird art changes and stuff. There is a couple other things that he definitely did in the special edition. There's some extra shading and like the flashback sequences that make them a little bit more dreamlike.
Do you have one that you prefer of the two? Like, 'cause
The special edition.
Oh, okay.
There's a couple little wonky things because it was a guy making his very first comic. In the non-special edition, there's a couple frames here and there where like faces look really weird. to be completely honest.
Yeah.
That going back in the special edition, it looks like he fixed from everything I've seen.
Pretty wild. Yeah.
It adds back in a couple segments, like the Sparkle Horse segment at the end, which is kind of really sad, but its symbolism is really nice.
Yeah. I got through the first Sparkle Horse, like the when you first meet it.
Yeah. There's in the comic, we didn't really touch on it. In the comic, that's, I guess, another bit that a symbol of his grief and the accident is he imagines himself on the train into death, and he's being advised kind of by both the Crow and another character known as the Skull Cowboy, and they're sort of trying to tell him how to deal with this. Mm-hmm. And he just keeps looking back out the train window. And as he looks out there, there's this beautiful white horse that's running through a field, and then it gets captured in barbed wire. It's not paying attention, and it runs into barbed wire, and it gets all fucked up and wrapped around. And that's kind of just how it ends in the original version. And in the special edition, he adds a segment where Eric gets off the train and performs a mercy killing on the horse.
That's some grimdark bullshit, James O'Barr, but, like, good job at the same time.
But it makes sense with the emotions that are going through the story. And him dealing with the grief. And then it also adds in a segment at the end. In the original comic, he just goes back to the graveyard and lays down by their graves, and the comic ends. And in the special edition, he goes and does that, and Shelley's spirit comes to him.
Oh, that's great. That's nice. Cece had a thought, and this is where I originally thought that I was going to end this on, but the more I talk about this, the less sure I am. We had the thought of, like, if we gave The Crow to Neil Gaiman, you just get a absolutely bombshell piece of literature out of that.
Yeah.
Like, same cast even, sure, whatever, make it a movie, but, like, you could get some really amazing art with someone like Neil Gaiman doing the script with the same ideas. But at the same time, it would have been polished, it would have been a much better story in all the ways that I was giving this movie and this comic shit earlier. But I don't know if it would have had the power that some of these scenes have, because, again, this is such a personal thing. Cece described it as, since we're both artists, of sometimes it's not the best art that you make, it's the art that you need to make. Mm-hmm. And that's what, at the end of the day, that's what this was the thing that he needed to make. Something
you said in there reminded me of the one other thing I really wanted to get to with you guys and get your opinion. For about the past decade, a little bit more, they've been trying to remake The Crow. It's been in all sorts of levels.
Oh, we were laughing about this because the fucking cast lists they keep getting are all over the map and all insane.
So, out of these, all of these actors have been attached to The Crow at some point. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on them as Eric Draven. Luke Evans, who was Bard the Bowman in the Hobbit movies. I'm going to start off small,
when he was younger, I think Draven has to be, 20 to 25 as far as I'm concerned. Draven at 40 is just sort of weird.
Jack Houston, who did, I think, 3 seasons of Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah, I heard about that.
No, I'm well enough to...
I don't know him well enough to...
I don't either, not really.
Okay, now it starts getting into names for sure.
Here's where it gets weird.
Bradley Cooper.
Rocket Raccoon is not gonna fucking pull off...
Fucking Hangover.
Not now, especially. I mean, even 10 years ago.
Tom Hiddleston.
He actually comes closer than most of the ones that I've heard of being able to pull it off, and I think he would enjoy being so, weird edgy that you have to be Eric Draven.
Hiddleston was probably is my favorite of all the ones that they've had attached over the past 12 years. I think he would fucking kill it in such a big way.
Again, I think he's too old now, but...
Also, I believe it was when Hiddleston was potentially attached, was when their script was written by Nick Cave of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
That's pretty wild, yeah.
He did one of the versions of the script. I think they tried to get the co-writer of The Watchmen to do one of the versions of the script.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who has the current version, but this is ridiculous. The latest person to be attached,
This is the one I'm excited about.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah,
It's
I
the
heard about
worst idea of all time, and I would so watch Jason Momoa be gothy angry for like 2.5 hours. Like, bring everything about that on.
If this was 20 years ago, Baywatch Nights Jason Momoa, I'm down.
Yeah, like Stargate Atlantis Jason Momoa at the oldest.
Before he had muscles?
No, I still want the muscles. I want fucking shredded Jason Momoa putting on that makeup and laughing in leather pants. Like,
Now, Momoa was full-on attached with
he
the
was
director.
into it too. Like,
And then that got axed.
and I don't remember why it got axed. I think the same thing of people are kind of lukewarm on making it, and people keep getting offered projects that are actually happening. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll go do that. Too bad. This would have been awesome.
And then just a couple other names that were mostly rumors, never really serious at any time, but are still interesting to think about in the role. There was Sam Witwer.
Is he the Avatar guy?
You guys will recognize him. I'm just going to bring him up. He was on Battlestar Galactica. He
Not the Avatar guy.
did one of the latest seasons of Supergirl, not the latest, the one before. He's the guy that Starkiller was based on in Star Wars The Force Unleashed.
Oh, him. I don't like him.
I mean,
I have tried. He was a really terrible version of Doomsday in Smallville. And he was a bad vampire in a American Sci-Fi Channel version of a weird bad British sci-fi show.
Okay.
So he's...
Oh, yeah, he was in Being Human.
Yes.
I love the British version.
I hate the British version. And he voices Darth Maul in Star Wars The Clone Wars and Rebels.
That's right.
And that's the role I like him in. I am being mean again. I'm just mean today, apparently, guys. Sam Witwer is not a terrible actor. I've never had a role where he's in where I'm like, fuck yeah, it's Sam Witwer. Fuck yeah, this guy's the best role in this show. It's just, he's here again. Okay.
Let's see, there was rumors at one point of Channing Tatum. That was a nice laugh.
yeah.
I don't know if I like or hate this idea worse than Channing Tatum's determination to play Gambit. Because it doesn't work in either direction, but in a different kind of 90s edgy with a trench coat in both cases.
I can't see it.
No, it's a bad idea in both cases.
Ryan Gosling?
Again, maybe like 20-year-old Ryan Gosling, although his career would have gone such a completely different direction to
it
do
would
that
have.
instead of, eye candy.
Alexander Skarsgård?
I know who he is, but I always forget.
He's the
He's the
more
good-looking-
chiseled one. Yeah.
He's not the creepy looking one,
No.
and he's not although he played Eric the Viking, he's not the Vikings one.
He and
He was in True Blood.
yeah, I was gonna say in True Blood. That's where he was at.
Okay, yeah, another one I've seen. I don't have enough to have an opinion.
I think he would be a little bit more believable in that role.
He wouldn't be bad.
No.
If you've done True Blood, you're kind of like have already dipped your toe in the genre.
And James McAvoy.
Wait, Professor X?
Yeah.
Why did we not get this movie?
Oh shit, there's one other one that was...
Not saying it'd be good, but
That would have been interesting for sure.
Oh, this one also gets interesting. There's one other one I almost forgot. Mark Wahlberg.
no. Just no.
I would
We're
have
done.
loved to have seen that. Just to see how shit.
I got all excited, a bunch of other stuff, but no, we will not be having a Marky Mark Crow.
Wow.
Canceled.
Marky Mark and the Fun Boy Bunch.
Canceled.
Yeah.
They have... those ones were all more rumors, but it's been like 12 years of trying to get a remake done, so there's been a shit ton of people attached to this. I follow every step of this fucking development hell.
I would probably watch a reboot if it happened. Since it's such a product of its time, it's one of those ones that I'm like, we don't need this. Some movies you can remake. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I love that movie. But others, if they're a product of their era, it's so hard to update that and have it work.
That's a good point.
I feel over the course of this being in development, the idea behind this remake and the messaging they've put out there has changed. Earlier on, it was more like we want to do a more faithful to the comic adaptation. And now as we get further and further and further away from the time period it was made, it's been more like, well, let's do an updated version of the story for this generation.
Which, I mean, if they're going to do it, I can see that.
If they do one closer to the comic, I want it to be more of an art house, super gory art house movie that we get down on all the time anyway.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
You two have fun with that.
Yeah, I would totally be up for that. Here's something real quick, not to interrupt too much, but I did see at one time there was going to be The Crow 2037. Mm-hmm. Did you see who was attached to that?
I didn't see who was attached to it.
What is this madness?
It was supposed to be written and directed by Rob Zombie.
That's the most Rob Zombie thing I've ever heard, though. So
I was like, that would have been interesting.
I'm curious to know Rob's thoughts on The Crow.
Yeah.
I feel like he's a fan.
I feel like he's a fan, but it's also a little bit outside some of the stuff that he's definitely a way bigger fan of, if that makes sense.
No, it totally does.
So, I
know. I was like, that's...
Also, I would more expect him to make The Crow into a period piece about a Crow pre...
That would be pretty gnarly.
Eric, rather than a future Crow.
Like 70s Grindhouse?
I could see him doing a 70s, 80s Crow, rather than a
2037
Crow. Yeah. Or, 2037.
Crow 2037 sounds like a cartoon. Like, there was that Phantom 2090 or whatever it was, and there was a future... Anytime you put... I mean, even Iron Man 2020, which is something I am a fan of, anytime you put that in there, it sounds like a Saturday morning cartoon. One I would watch, but...
Yeah. Well, it reminded me of all, the different, Marvel 2099 stuff.
Yes! Oh my god, I love Marvel 2099. Not this episode.
But that's immediately what it made me think of. I'm like, okay, you're doing that? That's wild. I don't have much more I think that's... On The Crow. We covered a bunch of different aspects of it.
We talked about good. 3 times as long as I expected us to talk about on this. Last night it's 11 p.m. and I'm like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm going to say. And she sat down and talked me through it because my wife is a wonderful human being. And then...
Well, I knew going in that you guys would have a little bit more of a comic book background, and not necessarily that I'm a movie buff on this film, but
Compared to me, you are.
Well, maybe. But, it's still one of those films, I think, for all of us, because we grew up during that time period. I know we were all different ages, but it still had a certain impact because it went beyond just that year, 94. It went into the 2000s.
Mm-hmm. It rippled,
Yeah. So I think about it in that regard. It's like it didn't really connect or land really heavy with me, but it did for a lot of friends around me. And
you were saying you had a buddy that was super into it, right?
One of my buddies, Jason, huge into it, man. So every year, Halloween, that's his go-to. He's got his rooms decked out. He was huge Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee fan. And speaking of which, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this, is last year I happened to be in Seattle. So if you're in Seattle, you can go visit. It sounds morbid, but you can go visit the gravesite of Bruce and Brandon Lee. And I got the chance to do that.
Together.
Yeah.
Not together. But
it's not a very big plot at all. It's kind of unassuming. But I'm a big fan of Bruce Lee. And, respect Brandon, of course. But I was like, that's kind of interesting. It's a little side nugget because I just so happened to visit it last year. So,
that's cool.
Kind of coincidental.
That's awesome.
Give it a shot. It's a fun pre-Halloween movie. It's a warm-up if you're going for something heavier.
I was going to say,
I think so. Good primer.
My bare bones, for me personally, Halloween movie marathon starts with The Crow because it takes place on Devil's Night. Yeah. And I try to do my marathon the night before Halloween and have it cross over the midnight mark into Halloween, at which point I'll follow up with House of a Thousand Corpses because starts on Devil's Night and ends on Halloween. Go Devil's Rejects because it's a direct sequel to House, and then finish it off with Trick or Treat.
Damn right, that's awesome, dude.
I've seen one of those movies.
To you.
But the way they all kind of
it flows.
The flow, the flow of it, it fits perfect.
I don't have anything else on The Crow. You guys?
No, learned a lot more than I knew prior going into this. And I think what helped me think about the sequels and readaptations and whatnot is it wasn't just based off of the Eric Draven character. It was like
Ash Corvin.
Right, and I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense because I didn't pay attention to that going
if they had just made Draven come back, it would have just like it was already bad, but it would have been worse.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have. It was, and you're right, it's already bad. All right, so I mean, I guess we just got our recommendations.
What are our recommendations?
Right? So mine is technically a re-recommendation, but not one that
just means we like it.
But not one that I have done earlier.
Oh.
When friend of the network, friend of both shows that are represented here, Jesse was on. Mm-hmm. He recommended a podcast called No Such Thing as a Fish. So I checked it out.
Do you remember that?
No Such Thing as a Fish is an amazing podcast. It has become one of my go-to listens every week. I go to bed listening to episodes sometimes now. The premise is do you know the British show QI?
I know of it.
It was hosted by Stephen Fry for a long time. I can't remember the name of the gal that hosts it now, partially because I've only seen one of her seasons. But I've watched most of the Stephen Fry QI. Little game show. It's one of those ones where the points kind of don't matter. But they go on and it's QI because it's quite interesting. And they bring up a bunch of these interesting facts about things and behind the scenes that like the fact checkers that are spitting things into Stephen Fry's ears are called the QI elves. So No Such Thing as a Fish is the podcast done by the QI elves.
Oh, wow.
Oh, cool.
And it's them, the three main ones every week bringing their favorite fact of the week. Just whatever they found in their research, either working on QI or just because they are now the QI elves. You know, it's what they do for their podcast as well now.
This podcast as we speak.
And I don't know if on any of the episodes they ever spelled out their process, but it's obvious that what they do is they each come up with, they find their favorite fact of the week beforehand, they share it to the other ones, and then everybody does their own sort of independent research on that same fact and come back to the table with it. Yeah. So instead of just the one fact, like you get the one fact, and then you usually get 3 or 4 interesting stories that are all related in some way around it as well.
Cool.
I like that. And then it just goes around all 3 of them, and you get to learn all these interesting things. I was listening to an episode today, learned that there's a rating system for the accuracy of Regency era costumes in movies based off of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Wow. That's pretty awesome. I had no idea.
Okay.
It's not widely used. It's mostly at this point like a Twitter account and it's 5,000 followers or whatever, but there was no baseline for that beforehand. Oh. And somebody that was working on some stuff was just like, I believe they said that she was a copy editor and was doing some really inane, boring work and watching movies while doing it. And one of the movies that came on was Excellent Adventure. And when it got to them stealing Beethoven, she looks up at the screen and goes, "These costumes are all startlingly accurate. If you can't do better than Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, then you did a shit job."
I like it.
No Such Thing as a Fish. Yeah. Way to go, Jesse. Thank you. And I'm just going to keep passing that along because it's really fun.
I'm looking it up now.
All right.
Danny?
All right. So thinking about the season that we're in, right? And being that you could say it might be a crossover for both of our podcasts,
all right,
is I would recommend a novel that was adapted into a film, and that is John Dies at the End.
Oh, I've heard of it. I've not read it. But
highly recommend that. It's a perfect film. If you're not necessarily a huge horror fan, but you like weird shit.
I haven't read the book yet. I've seen the film. The film is fantastic.
I watched that film on a train ride whilst I was moving up to Montana. So
nice.
I have an interesting connection to that.
Hard to describe. Involves a drug called soy sauce.
Yep.
And, I mean, the title of it is John Dies at the End. I've always found that intriguing myself. Just like, where do you go from a story when that's your title?
Yeah. When you tell them what the ending is, you have to make sure the lead up to the ending is, like, pitch perfect.
I recommend it too, and I haven't even read the book, but...
Let's see. I'm going to go with a new manga I discovered actually just like 2 days ago, and I devoured 3 of the 4 volumes already, and I have the 4th on order. The Way of the House Husband. It is the most ridiculous... I am listing this as one of the 2 perfect comic books I have ever read in my life. That does not mean it is the best comic book I've ever read, but it is one of those things, it knows exactly what it wants to be, and it performs that flawlessly. Similar to what you were talking about with Fury Road.
Mm-hmm.
The Way of the House Husband is about a character who used to be known as the Immortal Dragon, and he was like a Yakuza god, basically. Like, killed 100 people of a rival Yakuza clan with his bare hands. Like, ultimate bad. But he meets this, like, nice kind of anime fan woman who's just like a normal Japanese woman. Marries her and becomes a stay-at-home house husband, like housewife, house husband. And the entire plot is this dude going about his average day doing things like going to the women's volleyball club or like going to buy a DVD for his wife for her birthday but the entire thing is done in these like stupid little short stories, but the pacing and the tone and like a lot of the illustration is still done in the way that a lot of like crime comics are done, or like a crime movie is done. But it's, you know, him trying to teach his idiot buddy how to separate your wash. Or like it sounds bizarre. Each story is like maybe 10 pages long. None of them there is no overarching like storyline other than just they found this way to do this, and it's every single one made me laugh. Like out loud laugh. And that there's things that I'm like, I cracked up at that and didn't laugh at all out loud, and this one I'm like dumb little joke and like that's great. Like every 10 pages, and that is so good.
Nice. Hell yeah. That sounds
It's so dumb, and it's worth every second of your time.
Hell yeah. We're at my part, right?
Yeah.
Sweet. So next week we're interrupting our spooky season for an episode.
We're still fucking cool though, so it's okay.
Because goddamn Disney is dropping Mandalorian Season 2 on October 30th. So we have to talk about what we didn't talk about in our first Mando episode next week.
Yui, who has been, I think this will make them our most recurring guest, because they did Quarantine Off and they did First One, will be coming back, and appropriately, I recently dubbed them a Lieutenant Commander for completely unrelated stuff I'm not going into, so Lieutenant Commander Yui will be joining us, Generals of Nerdery, to talk about the second half of Mandalorian Season 1.
Yeah, everything we didn't get to the first time.
Which is what I'm going to watch when I get home.
I've already restarted watching it this week. It's been fantastic.
I watched the previous ones yesterday, and was like, no, we'll save these.
So, in order to listen to us talk about that next week, because it is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm so excited to have Yui back, please hit subscribe however you're listening to us right now. That'd be super cool. Also, if you could rate and review us however you're listening to us right now, because the world is ran on algorithms, and it helps us, get up and all that, and people search for things and they'll be like, oh look, General Nerdery, they're talking about things I like.
You're focused today.
Hey, I'm creative. I'm feeling visionary.
All right, Oliver Stone.
Anyway, do that part of it. You can also go check out our website, www.generalnerdcast.com. Check out all of our back catalog there. Up at the top, there's links. We are part of the Earworm Podcast Network. We have part of the other show here.
Like, all of the full members of the Earworm Network are here right now, in this room.
Earworm is in this room right now. Listen to the other shows over on the network. Listen to me and Danny talk about horror movies. We've already mentioned that a number of times, Zach.
You can listen to me and my buddy Malark talk about war and wargaming and war treatises over on The Art of Wargaming.
You can contact us through the website or by emailing us generalnerderypod@gmail.com. Find us across the social medias. Search for General Nerdery will be what pops up. We love you.
Yeah, Danny, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
In the meantime, we're your generals of nerdery. I'm Zach.
I'm Tyler.
Dismissed.